he'd be back by Friday after they got their royalty payments to take them home, But their whole plan for the week was just to sit in the park and, enjoy VB for all it's worth in its coldness you're talking 37, 38 degree heat, mate, and...
well, that's what I thought. Like, what else would you do?
Oh, it was
Me personally, I don't know what else I would do.
That's it, But yeah, in the servo, so there was TVs, washing machines, kids' toys, all these things that you would see, say, at a Kmart, just racked up into the aisles. Okay. Like the whole joint was full. The tables were pushed out of the way in the dining room and stuff for all this shit. Because the lady knew that as soon as they get their royalty checks, everybody's coming in to
just like a Harvey Norman.
Spend up big.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was everything from TVs to stereos. It was just the most bizarre thing you've ever seen, dude, But luckily enough, I make friends pretty quickly, and we were just having a chat real quick, and met some of the mob that were there, and one of the girls was sleeping in a room next door to us in the hotel, and her job was to look after all the grommets, put them in front of they had a little plug-in portable hard drive that plugged into the TV that I had to sort out to make sure it worked, and her gig was just to look after the kids and put the movies on just like you would at your house. Nighttime comes, put the kids in front of the movies and shit, and so we'd already kind of said g'day to them as well. So when we got up in the morning, all the kids were like, hello, and hey, how are you? And it was a really cool feel, even though, they'd all the mob out the front of the park, they'd partied all night long until they ran out of peace, Right. So at one point, the party had come back to the apartment next door, and we were like, what is happening, And
is it a pub?
No, next door to the pub at Mataranka, right. Which is barely a pub, man. Okay. Like the thing would have to have been built in, the early 1900s sometime, and she'd be lucky to be standing. But it was built proper, I suppose. So, but that was first night out of civilization. We came across that one, but and it just flowed from there, walking into a pub in Catherine through a door in the side of a pub because we couldn't work out how to get into this pub. It's like, fuck, what is going on here? They were renovating the bottle shop. It's got to be this door, We walk through the door, and there's this magnificent beer garden. Flowing water, few pokies, Everybody's standing around, though, and the attitude in there was, fairly heavy, And
Aboriginal people?
Yeah.
Purely?
We were, other than the two bar staff, we were the only white crew in there.
Right.
And, it was maybe 10 to 12 or something. You couldn't get a drink until midday.
Right.
So everybody's all loaded in there, ready to go, just waiting for the bar to open, And
Catherine's a beautiful bit of town, though.
Oh, it's
grass is green.
Yeah, it's a cool place. We went up Catherine Gorge and stuff, man, and that was amazing. I definitely could have spent a lot more time there, but we were just running day to day and trying to get as many Ks in as well as sightseeing at the same time. So, we didn't really spend 2 nights in any one place.
I wanted to ask you, the last time I spoke to you, you were filming for, what's his name? You were doing some work with an Aboriginal...
An elder?
Yeah.
Or,
but I didn't ask you what some staple food, I think we almost had the conversation.
Look, I haven't really been into any community yet where they're not just eating, regular shit like that.
So it's changed, right?
Yeah.
Which makes you think of royalties. I mean, even though it's great for them, it's definitely
it's definitely a whitewash of their culture, mate.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to look at it other than,
make everyone happy with money and problem.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Indigenous problem came about after we started giving them a paycheck, and there's still a lot of changes and things that need to happen in this country before I think it's going to settle, and reconciliation on one hand is kind of what needs to happen, but in the same time, they never really succeeded to us. It was a culture that was 40,000 years old, and we basically showed up as Europeans, went, "Hi, how are we? Here we are." Have 200 years of oppression, and we'll pay you a meager handout for the damage we've done. But I don't see the answer at the moment. I mean, Uncle Frank that I do press for, he's a reconciliationist. He sees Australians as one. He doesn't see white fella, black fella. He sees we've got massive community issues, and social reform and social change needs to happen for us all to act as one. And I think if you kind of take Uncle Frank's approach, it saves all that he said, she said stuff. And there are a lot of atrocities in the history of it all that I'm sorry for, but there's nothing I can do about it personally, And I think there's probably racism on both sides of the fence. There's white racism and there's black racism, and I think until we learn to stand as one, we're not going to see any social change.
And mate, if history has shown us anything, do you remember in the 80s? I think about this all the time when I hear music from the 80s, where all of a sudden white bands had, say, three...
couple of black musicians.
Yeah, black musicians doing the singing, and they were
getting the funk.
All of a sudden, like, there was this time where music was crossed over. Even Living Colour, the metal band, right? Yeah. Well, not even metal, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was definitely this time where everyone was going, yeah.
What happened to that, though?
Well, I think we all got smart and realised... Or who's the comedian that says, how many movies have you seen where some white principal comes into an American... into a... like a hood.
School,
and he gets taught how to dance hip hop, and it all changes, and the school gets turned around. We've grown so far to go. That's not actually the way. We like our tribes. We think this way. There's so many millions of years have come for us to be in this point that we are who we are.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course we're racist. We all are a bit, but not the problem. The problem I really see is things like this guy I know who he just listens to too much talkback radio. And if you talk to him, he'll go, mate, they're doing all this. Did you hear they're doing all that? Yeah. I said, mate, do you know anyone?
It's a displacement.
But do you know actually anyone in your personal circle who is the people you're talking about? No.
Yeah.
Well, you don't. So you're complaining about people you don't even know. You're just making up stories that you've heard from other people. Yeah. So the way, reconciliation way, I bet, as what's his name?
Uncle Frank. Yeah.
I think the same way, mate. If anything, be it a Muslim person or something, if they're in the circle that I can see right now, and they're upsetting me, then it's a problem. Yeah. But generally, it's never, right? No. Do you ever have any problems ever?
I've never, mate. And I've been to some pretty gnarly places, and I've seen some pretty gnarly things in this country, in Australia, with our Indigenous, and I just don't have that fear because I have an understanding at the same time, I think, and a lot of people have hatred because of the system that they've been grown up in, and when you're talking to people who grow up in these social communities like Apollo Estate and Dubbo and stuff where we've worked before, they're just, whether you're white or black, you feel oppressed by the system that, doesn't really care too much about you anymore. And a lot of them are victims of the system, the whole, the amount of people that they incarcerate for weed and, alcoholism and stupid things that can be treated rather than incarceration, it's a never-ending story, and it's funny, I think we're in the middle of a good change, but it's still yet to happen, and the terms and conditions of those change are what people are looking for right now, and it's a tough one, and I think going out and traveling the Central Desert and going to different places that we did and staying in random places and really looking for that interaction. Well, I did anyway, like I looked for the blackfella wherever I went, and I wanted to interact with them because I wanted to have an opinion of what it was like out there. And, I think the system's got it wrong. And until, the 90% of us that don't really care because we're too worried about what our tan looks like or, what car we're driving, until those people kind of wake up a little bit and come round to, a need for social change, we're going to have some issues.
Yeah. Mate, I don't see any. Where I'm standing here on the Gold Coast, I rarely see an Aboriginal person anymore. So it's not in my mind. I can imagine a whole bunch of people like me going, it's just not important.
Mm.
There's a real change, hey? There's millions of people in Sydney right now not even seeing the problem.
Oh.
But meanwhile, out in the town there,
people
who don't have 200 plus years of drinking alcohol are given $5,000 and
free access to alcohol.
And it's a huge problem there, mate. I think the internet is a savior, funnily enough, even though it's a devil.
Oh, definitely. And guys like the crew that I work for every now and then, Desert P Media and stuff, they're always bringing those issues to the forefront via a YouTube channel, So their audience is looking for them, and they're reaching out as well. So, I think little by little the community is growing towards some sort of social change. And
even the fact that if you were the kid, just say those little grommets that will stay in the room beside you.
Yeah.
They're watching, they'll grow up with phones in their hands.
Oh, for
They'll
sure.
see that, Dad, actually, it turns out not everyone is getting hammered. And the people I really like are the dirt bike guys who are pretty clean, actually. Yeah, that's
super
what I mean.
Fit,
Like
clean.
you can see a view of the world, like just like this afternoon talking to Leo's wife from Samoa.
Yeah,
everyone's got phones over there.
Yeah,
so they can kind of see what's right and wrong through the world.
Yeah,
and
which I think while our communities remain so remote, that's how they kind of keep them in the dark a little bit. Like they don't have the communication skills that everybody else has. Or the access to it might be a better way to put it. Like there's people out there that don't have access to good communication. How's that, Salami?
Just get me too, mate.
It seems to be rotating around the table.
Take that, 3 blokes that listen to this.
Because there's no girls that listen to this. My mum maybe, but does that?
Hey,
really Mum. Yeah. Look,
Didn't we get heavy all of a sudden?
We did get heavy, and it's an important thing to talk about, so I don't mind it being that way. And
you're one of the only people I know that goes out there. You actually, I want to ask.
I want to get out there more. Like if I could find a way that I could get out there.
Is it hard though? Is it too much of a burden? When you slap with some reality. You know what I'm saying?
It definitely makes you think, and it definitely makes you think about how you live life when you come back to town. And it also, I think it definitely controls how I interact with people and their kids and stuff now as well. Like the Bulger residents being a prime example. Those kids aren't going to want for too much. Robbie does a good deal and everything's supplied, and they live a fairly nice level of existence. Take that to, the kids that I come across in state housing in Apollo Estate in Dubbo, whose mum and dad are probably junkies or ice addicts or, chronic alcohol, like affected by chronic alcoholism, which brings in your domestic violence and cycles of incarceration for either one or two of the parents, and then you've got
no hope, just no
foster parents and grandparents. It really does blow your mind a little bit to think about it. But I think on like journeys like I just did through the middle of the country, we had 8,000 Ks and 10 days to really soak it in and develop a thought on the actual issues, Tennant Creek